Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at the translations, the unofficial translations for the letter from the producer live. What number is that? Is that a 74? Yeah, that's a 74 right there. Sorry, I got cat aggro at the very start of the video, but we're going to leave that in there. Live letter 74 is the patch 6.3 part 1 live letter. Took place, what's today, November 11th. 2022, and it's 5 in the morning, so I'm going to trip over my words a bunch. Very compact live letter, mostly just going over the bare minimum details of patch 6.3. We don't even know what half the stuff is because they kept it a secret, but as we do, we have to go over the overview itself. So for our unofficial translations, meaning that this is not coming directly from any official Square Enix source, we have the Final Fantasy XIV subreddit translation Discord. They have Iluna Minori and Miyuna, who have done translations a million times before. Pretty much all of my live letter overviews feature them. So thank you to them for the work that they do, because we appreciate it a lot. Now with that, welcome everyone. They did start with this little artwork. That's also the background behind this. And the 74th producer live letter today on 11/11, the 10-year anniversary of 1.0's shutdown. That's a good anniversary. They go on later in the live letter to say they do have plans for the 10th anniversary of A Realm Reborn, which is next year. So looking forward to the Rising next year in particular. Hope to see something a little more in depth, I suppose. I'll definitely be judging them for that. But we do have, of course, fan fests and expansion announcements and stuff. So it's going to be an exciting year next year no matter what. So our patch name, God's Revel, Lands Tremble. Gotta be referencing the Alliance raid more than anything else. Not to say it can't also be a reference to other things, MSQ or Ultimate perhaps, but that just, I mean, that screams Myths of the Realm. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how that pans out. I can't wait to see what the art looks like in particular. So we'll have to wait until the next live letter for that. Now, they talk about the release schedule, and it says early January 2023. So for those of you who don't keep up with the average release schedule, normally patches are exactly 19 weeks between each other. This is a 2-week adjustment from what used to be 17 weeks before Endwalker when they added 2 weeks to the schedule. Now, that being said, they also said they were giving all their employees an extra week off during the summer and an extra week off during the holidays. So the question was whether it would be on January 3rd, which is the 19th week mark, or if they would wait an extra week for January 10th. And this statement right here from Yoshi P saying 3rd of January, I'd be okay with it, but that's a bit, tells us we might be looking at a January 10th release date, which will of course mean 2 weeks after that for Ultimate, 8 weeks after January 10th for the other content, 6.35. So start planning that out in your head now in case you're planning on being around for any of those, but it's not set in stone just yet. New main scenario quests, we get a picture with Zero, who they say has become very popular. We also have the twins back. Now, I'm a little nervous about having the twins back, given the characters that we're dealing with in the main scenario at the moment. One of them has a track record with twins, and it's not a great one. So we'll see how that ends up going. We'll just leave that to the imagination in the future. Okay. So new side quest, Tataru's Grand Endeavor continues. Looks like we are going to be going to the Ruby Sea. Now that could be dealing with the Confederacy, or that could be dealing with the Four Lords, or both. They didn't say there were any prereqs to this one, and so if it is the Four Lords, that would be a prereq. So it's a maybe. Right now, it's just looking like it might be dealing with the Ruby Tithe. It does make sense for the Confederacy to kind of be inundated on what Tataru is trying to do. But the Four Lords also seems like something they would want to get people to do. I mean, they made us do the Void Art questline before, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them next live letter tell us that the Four Lords are required. But they should have just told us now. So I have a feeling it's not going to be too bad on the requirement factor. Let's see. But that is right outside of Hell's Lid. So, new side quest, the Tales of Newfound Adventure continues. These are the eyeballs that give us background story on the new Archfiends. So, there's new eyeball. New backstory on the Archfiends. Hildebrand, no idea what's going on. He's being abducted with his poo-poo pal from Final Fantasy VIII. And there's nothing else to say about that. So, other than I'm looking forward to it. New Manderville weapons, of course, we're going to be getting upgrades. The initial ones, very well received, so I'm curious to see what they will do with the updates. And Geralt looks like he was being thrown on a mammoth, and that's probably not very good for him. So, in Foxclon's own words, what even is happening? In Yoshi P's own words, I don't even know what we're trying to show with these screenshots anymore. So, they're just as confused as we are, it would seem. New tribal quests are indeed going to be the Loporrits, and they are going to be a crafting tribe. We knew we were getting a crafting tribe. The Loporrits were the most common sense answer. With how much Jammingway was involved with the Omicrons, I left it kind of on the table that maybe they wouldn't do Loporrits, but it was what everyone's been guessing. So it's not really much of a surprise, but yeah, that's going to be 6.35. So approximately 8 weeks after the release of the patch itself. Also, the new dungeon, Lapis Manalus. So I don't know what to expect from this one. On the outside, it's a snow mountain, and apparently even in the Japanese name, it refers to it as a snow mountain. You can see the Garland Bridge right there. So with the screenshot with the twins earlier, its odds are we're going to Garlemald for some particular reason that probably still deals with void related stuff. It could just be that there's a void gate in Garlemald that we didn't know about. Wouldn't be that far-fetched given Xenos had to have formed a pact with Zero somewhere in the vicinity of Garlemald, one would assume in the tower, but could just be that he used the high concentrations of ceruleum to do it, because this looks like it's a somewhat frozen ceruleum cave, and that is scary. So curious to see where this ends up going, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some residual energy left over from the pact that was formed. That would also mean there's residual energy in Ul'dah, mind you, if you've done the Reaper quest, but I guess we don't really understand the full scope of the bond Xenos and Zero had during Endwalker. So it's still just a big question, all theory at this point, but a really neat looking dungeon. There will be another trial. They're not telling us what it is. There's a few theories. One is Cagnazzo. One is, of course, Rubicante. Another reigning theory is both at the same time, given the events in 6.2's MSQ. So I'm not going to rule it out, but I'm not going to hard confirm it. Some people, of course, going off the wall saying maybe we'll just randomly fight Golbez now and we'll deal with Cagnazzo and Rubicante later. But it's a secret. We'll just have to wait and find out. New Unreal trial. They're doing Sophia next, means probably Zervin in the next patch or the patch after. Not as difficult as Sephiroth for an Unreal, but with the shifting of the scales and the weight of the meteors and people just generally struggling a little bit with knockbacks, it's going to be a little tougher. However, we have much better access to knockback resist now than we did when Sophia was relevant. Knockback resist, if I recall, does work. In fact, I know it does because I've soloed Sophia on tank and I used it for that. Knockback resist does work on the tipping of the scales. So if there are sets that are bad for people, or you struggle with a particular set, or even if you're just like, oh shit, I don't know where to go, you can panic use knockback resist. So that's a big piece of advice for Sophia, but you still need to be paying attention to the other mechanics that happen at the same time. So you need to still position for those other things while using the knockback resist. But that's going to help a lot of people now versus back in the day. We do have the next 24-man raid. It is going to be Euphrosyne. So if they go by all three of the names of the three, I think they're called the three charities, it should be Aglaya, Euphrosyne, and Thalia. So Euphrosyne is going to be the second one, which should be, we had Fire and Lightning. So this one is Ice and Wind, I think, is this one. Euphrosyne. If Aglaya has them all lined up, so like you can tell what they are if you just go into the zone. Ice and Earth. There we go. Yeah, we have Ice and Earth. Yeah. Earth because of Nafaka. So Graha has a Ghostbusters backpack for some reason. I'm assuming that's helping him with something there, but yeah, he's got that. Yoshi V said it's a slot machine, maybe. We have this beautiful screenshot of the realm of Earth and a big tree. So yeah, Nafaka the big one. The running theory was that all the final bosses would be final bosses from the various city-states. So Nafaka is a potential final boss, but there are other possibilities. There are other relations that have to do with the characters that kind of make sense, because we think it's all leading to Ashan being the final boss. I think most of us feel like either the monkey or our new pal are Ashan, one of the two. So it's just a question of where it's going to go. But I'm really excited because the initial 24-man was fantastic. On the easier side, but fun. So that's really what I'm looking for with these 24-mans here. But yeah, we're going to be getting all the ice and earth gods from the 12. And Nafika definitely going to be among them, just because it works. I think it's... I'm terrible with remembering the 12 and their elemental alignments, but Nafika's definitely a big one. A lot of memes about this Laputa Windows XP background. And then we have the new ultimate, which they refused to tell us what it was. So leave your predictions on the table. Omega is the most common prediction right now, but I, of course, am holding on to the Warring Triad being an option. The developer for Uwu said they would like to do the Warring Triad at some point. There's, of course, the question of whether or not they would use Kefka, given that in Final Fantasy XIV, Kefka has no relation to the Warring Triad, unlike in Final Fantasy VI. After DSR, I think they could do whatever they want, but I don't even think it's entirely out of the realm of possibility that they just have all three of them merged together to create some abomination versus even needing Kefka. So either way, we haven't had a trial series ultimate yet because A Realm Reborn didn't have one, and they've just gone through the Heavens Ward, MSQ, and Raid series. It would be nice to have the Warring Triad as the first trial series ultimate, but there's no confirmation they're going to do that. So Omega is a safe bet. Warring Triad's a relatively safe bet. I think it'll be one of the two, kind of leaning on Omega, but hoping for Warring Triad. That'll be 2 weeks after 6.3, so if 6.3 is on January 10th, this would be January 24th. Sorry, Stall. Sounds like Lunar New Year's about to get in the way of Planner 2. I'm sorry, Stall. No. Sorry. Anyway, no, not Cape West. And then he was taking guesses from the Twitch comments and everything. Viewers will be excited following the race. Okay, what is this? A new deep dungeon. Now, this caught me really off guard. Not the fact that we were getting a deep dungeon. We knew we were getting a deep dungeon in 6.35. And in case you didn't know, we get a variant and criterion dungeon in 4.5 and 5.5, according to their original schedule. But to see Allegan QoL-like stuff, I was like, what is this place? And then they gave us the name. It's Eureka Orthros. Now, I know a lot of people immediately jumped to Eureka thinking of the islands. However, Orthros, I do not believe is the name of any of the islands. I think this is the Eureka that is actually underneath the Crystal Tower. For those who didn't play Final Fantasy III, Eureka originally is a kind of like an optional dungeon that there's a portal to in the Crystal Tower, and it contains incredibly powerful weapons, which is why Eureka ended up being kind of like a relic series in 14. That being said, I think Eureka Orthros is the Eureka that was teased back in 2.5 when Nero throws the jammer, the signal thing that he was tracking energies with, and it lands and it beeps. I know that eventually, comes back and plays an important role later, but I have a feeling that this is probably what was underneath the Crystal Tower on the source. So that's what I'm hoping to see it is. I just don't think it's one of the Charlian Eureka Islands, the Isle of Val. So that's where I'm going with that one. Yeah, it's the Morse code. You do need to have Endwalker cleared, and you do need to progress the first 50 floors of Palace of the Dead. They say the only reason they make that 50 floor clear mandatory is it acts as a tutorial. I kind of don't think that's necessary, but that's what it is. You need to do Palace up to floor 50 to do Eureka Orthros. So that's where it is. And yeah, so you also don't need to do Stormblood Eureka. I think a lot of people feared that for about 30 seconds before that slide finished, but you don't need to do regular Eureka. It's not a thing. Then they do a quick, what is a deep dungeon? Yeah, I'm not going to cover that here. For Eureka Orthros, it is level 90. You need to be at least level 81 or above to enter, and you will begin at level 81 and gradually gain levels while you're inside of it until you end up at max level. It is going to be a leveling method. The two previous deep dungeons were very popular leveling methods for those earlier levels. This will be a kind of another leveling method from 81 to 90. So expect to use this quite a bit. Other than that, it's going to be relatively similar to other deep dungeons, but they're going to go over the more specific details in the next letter from the producer live. Duty support, aka trusts, being added to the remainder of the Heavensward main scenario stuff, and also Aetherochemical Research Facility, the third boss against La Habrea and Igiyorm being slightly changed, not too drastically, but it is going to be changed. They didn't make mention of any other dungeon changes here. There will also be job adjustments, mostly not big changes except for Paladin, which they have said will fully change. We knew we were getting a Paladin rework in 6.3, and they're going to be showcasing those changes in the next letter from the producer live. All my Paladin main friends are very scared. In fact, a Discord I'm in with my new group, who has a very, very big a very, very big Paladin enthusiast in it. I can't help but notice I have notifications in that Discord, and I'm sure if I look in it, it's going to be complete fear coming out of that individual. So I can't wait to read that later. They also have content updates for PvP, PvP adjustment actions, PvP Series 3, Season 5, but most importantly, a new arena for the Crystalline Conflict. They did admit Cloud9 is not very popular. They are going to be making adjustments to the schedule of them so that Cloud9 maybe doesn't appear as frequently. But more specifically, oh, Aloha's meowing. Wow, Aloha, come on in. Come on, join the video. Not you, Ivy. You're already sitting here. We all see you. Yeah, it's in Kugane Castle, and it's being hosted by this fucking guy. Now, a few things we can already pull out of these screenshots. For one, you can see he does throw money around the arena, and thus picking that up will probably be a factor. I can't help but wonder if Daigoro is going to jump around and attack. But also, if you look in this screenshot, you can see the checkpoints. You can see what look to be the starting points. But also, it looks like you can see... I'm trying to determine if that's the starting point in the top left, or if there's like delivery points for the money. You can also notice there's the tataki mats, which normally flip. And also it looks like there's a door. You see the wall panel with the outline over it. So I can't help but wonder if either traps come out of that, or if it's like a shortcut that's only active during certain times, or if it is a shortcut for the map. But if that's a starting point, you don't need a shortcut. This map would look like it's pretty much as compact as the fire map, if not even more compact than the fire map, if that is actually the starting point back there. So looks like, love the aesthetic, love the way it looks, and I'm curious to see what the arena specific gimmicks are for it with the money and everything. And I think this will be a great addition to Crystalline Conflict, assuming it's, you know, on the funner side and it's not like Cloud9. That was the halfway point for the live letter, and then they took a quick 10-minute break showing off the a quick trailer for their new lo-fi album, which, in case you couldn't hear, has been on in the background, just very slightly in the back. Currently available on iTunes and Amazon Music, no Spotify, sorry. And also, it's going to be on YouTube, I think, the 23rd of November. Fantastic lo-fi album. Great tracks, 20 tracks, and I've enjoyed pretty much all of them. So definitely gonna have that on streams a good amount of the time. So then Yoshi P showed off his jacket, his Heidelin and Zodiark jacket, which is reversible, and then shows Heidelin drop-kicking Zodiark. Funny thing, Heidelin drop-kicking Zodiark here is very similar to how I felt when Yoshi P didn't tell us what the new ultimate was. Cats, stop. Hey, I'm in the middle of a recording here, and it's live on Twitch. Hey, stop. Stop. Hey, stop. There you go. Either way, moving on. I was very upset at that, but we'll find out in the next live letter. All right, cats are gonna wow out here in the middle of the video recording because Ivy's upset that Aloha is disturbing her rest. Okay, so moving on. Cat distractions. We are getting new tool enhancement quests similar to the Skysteel weapons. Yoshi P himself said the Skysteel Hell is returning. So if you enjoyed that grind before, you're going to enjoy it again. And it's going to involve Granault over on the 1st. Did not see that one coming, but definitely a welcome thing. We got almost none of this character. So I thought they were going to use him more for stuff, and they haven't. So it's good to see that they are using him for something. Also, new custom deliveries. They didn't tell us the name of the client or who the client actually was, but they showed us this Leaf Man. Now, remember that is a person that was turned into a Leaf Man, because that's what the Pixies do. So I don't know if this is just, if the Leaf Man is the custom delivery, or if it's just the Pixies and they're showing the Pixies talking to a Leaf Man. So either way, I'd be cool if it was FQoL, but I don't know that that's necessarily going to be the case. Then we have some quality of life updates. Collectability values will be displayed for reference when gathering collectible items. The fishing guide getting a massive quality of life update. Primary fishing locations, preferred bait, and additional conditions are all being added to the fishing guide. That's a lot of very good information that the game should have had a long time ago. And yeah, I mean, it's just, I'm glad that it's happening, but it's also, it just should have been there. And also a new spearfishing location is being added to Lenosha, which they're also adding, of course, there hasn't been diving in A Realm Reborn. They are adding diving to over to Bronze Lake in Upper Lenosha. You are going to be able to swim amongst the ruins near the Wanderer's Palace, and there will be spearfishing locations there. So that's going to be exciting. Island Sanctuary getting a minor update. There's a major update planned for it in 6.4. There's going to be new ranks, new visions, new items, new materials, crops, animals, and handiworks. They showed off some of the new animals, and I can't help but feel like, is Totoro just dropping off invasive species into our island? Because there's a griffin, a tiger, and a Marlboro sapling. These are going to our island's going to be destroyed. This is an awful arrangement of animals that she has just left on our island. How else would they have gotten here? She just has to be sending them. I can't think of any other way. In addition to that, there will be new structures. We get this, whatever the heck that is. Everyone was calling it a roller coaster, but I don't think that's what it is. Yeah, that's going to do something, I suppose. We need a dance floor and a Simon Says minigame, so I can actually invite people over to my island and have something for them to do. In patch 6.4, they're going to be doing a major update. Like I said, among those updates for 6.4, they are currently working on allowing you to place garden furniture. I believe that's a rough translation to outdoor furnishings, equivalent to what you would use in your housing districts. I'm not going to say that for certain because both translations have said garden furniture, which could just be gardening, which is actually a big request as a whole, but that is among outdoor furnishings as well. So that is the question. I don't know if that means you can access gardening through your island sanctuary or if it's literally just going to allow you to use your outdoor furnishings. Either way, that is a feature coming in 6.4 or currently planned for 6.4. Some other quality of life, the workshop interface is being updated. My biggest complaint about Island Sanctuary in terms of playability was the workshop interface. So glad to see that. And also the option to collect all available yields and leavings at once. No clicking every individual thing to collect every single thing on the island. Thank God for that. Animals under care are also now eligible for release upon a new animal's capture. I've never automated my island sanctuary, so I've never had to deal with that problem. But I know people who have and have lost rares because they had forgotten they had done that. So nice quality of life there as well. A lot more updates to the island in 6.4. We are getting a new treasure map. Now this is a little weird. So they're adding the Shifting Gymnasium Agonon. Shifting is the term they use for the roulette wheel. So this is almost certainly the roulette wheel map. They didn't actually show us a screenshot, but I mean, that's what it's going to be. But it's also only accessible from a new Elpis-centric treasure map. That implies there's a new map we're going to be able to gather that specifically takes us to the roulette wheel, as opposed to the... Ivy, why did you throw the door all the way open? Did you see the door fling open? That's Ivy running full speed into the door to open it. So in case anyone hasn't noticed, our current treasure maps have no Elpis locations on them. And that's, I guess, just because it's in the past. I don't know if there's another big reason for that. But there's going to be, now there's a new Elpis one that's exclusively the Shifting Gymnasium. So I'm curious to see how that ends up working, because I guess that means people could choose which of the two treasure dungeons they want to do, which, you know what, actually, when I think about it, makes a lot of sense. I'm an achievement hunter a little bit. I don't go for this crazy grindy stuff, but one of them I really like to try to go for is 20 final floors or final spins on the treasure maps. And it can be really annoying to try to hunt those when you cannot control which one you get. So this will allow you to choose which one, because the rewards are the same for either one. So if you find one more fun than the other, or you just want to work on one particular achievement, then you know, you would be able to do that. So I'm actually a big fan of that. But yeah, in case you didn't know, the treasure maps always have the same rewards across the different kinds. So it doesn't really matter which one you do. I'm just curious if this is going to change anything else dynamic wise for the treasure maps other than just achievement hunting or focusing on a specific one. We're getting a new course for the Gold Saucer, a new Leap of Faith course. Probably not the thing they've talked about for Gold Saucer or haven't talked about in quite some time, but they didn't tell us what the course was or show it to us. They will show it in the next live letter. We are also getting more housing plots, all lottery, so no, you know, spam clicking on the thing as per usual. And it's going to be 360 houses per housing area, so 6 wards and 6 subdivisions, and it's 5 housing areas, so 1,800 new houses per server. And they'll have more details at a later date, so please look forward to it. Now we get into the Viking funeral section of the live letter. I need you all to put your salutes up for the people who are banned to give us these quality of life updates. Quality of life update number 1. Icons for damage type will now be displayed in the battle log and flying text. Physical, magical, and unique, which we have previously called darkness damage, meaning that physical and magical reductions do not work on it, but all damage reductions do. Things like reprisal work, but things like addle and feint don't. You don't see darkness damage very often. It is largely disappeared from the game, but they are retroactively adding this to all content and battle text in the game. They have warned there may be a few mistakes because of that. It's a lot of information to update, but they are finally doing it. I have wanted this for so many years. I can't believe it's finally happening. Ugh. And it's not the only thing. Viking salute again. Timers, buff and debuff timers on the party list. I didn't think they would add this one. I actually didn't think they would. But this is another one. Someone was banned to get you this. So big Viking salute. In fact, maybe Viking salute more for this one than the other one, because this is a more immediate one. Yoshi P even said, I don't want to be told we're using third-party tools because this feature's not in the game. So here you go. Oh man, it's like marijuana. It's like you've banned, people were banned just for it to then be made legal. It's the marijuana problem, just on a much smaller scale with Final Fantasy XIV. So it's yeah, I mean it is what it is. I mean, I'm glad to have it. It shouldn't take people getting banned for these things to happen. It should be an acknowledgement and just move on. I understand, you know, we've had this discussion a ton, and I don't want to retread on it. They said, hey, this is against our terms of service. We technically can ban you or act against it for you because the way you're accessing that information is not allowed. But also, we're now going to put that into the game. It's one of those, it absolutely tracks and makes sense, but is also just not a cool look. You know what I mean? It's not a good look, but it is what it is, and that's what we have. Now we need, what, chat bubbles, people still waiting on a DPS meter. There's a lot of other commas in the numbers. That's another one. Yeah, so there's still a few things people are waiting for, but these are some of the more recent, like really, really popular ones. So I'm not too surprised to see that that we got that. We are also getting a new UI theme. So we have light mode, dark mode, and classic mode. Dark mode is technically our default mode, I believe. Dude, it's been so long since I've had to think about it. So yeah, like light mode was the first UI theme that was added. Dark mode was our default. Then we got classic, which is what I'm currently using. And then we're getting another one on top of that. So they called it UI theme 3, even though it's technically the 4th one because, you know, we have to include the default. But they didn't show it to us. We'll see that next live letter. Portraits are being added to dungeons and alliance raids now, or I guess they're just being added to content. It's a little bit intrusive. You can turn it off, but I kind of wish, I don't know. It looks really out of place in this image. It just looks even more out of place in this Shiva that they're doing. It's just, I don't know. It's very intrusive. Like you can shrink it, move it, turn it off, whatever. I'm probably going to shrink it and keep it on the side over there because I do like the idea. Either that or it just needs to be something that you can X out like immediately. Like if you just don't want to see it anymore, But you want to see it when you zone in, but you don't want to see it after that. You need to be able to like exit out and not be there the whole time. But it doesn't look like that's a thing. Yeah, it's just too intrusive. I don't know. I don't like it. But we'll see. They'll probably fix it up. They've been pretty good about feedback on stuff as per the slides of Viking Funeral. They're also adding some quality of life stuff for retainers and fashion accessories. So expansion of available actions when using fashion accessories. They've mentioned how you like can't use emotes or summon minions or things like that. And they didn't really say what available actions are being expanded, like what will be usable. But they also said that they found a major bug with it and that they probably won't have it till 6.3, but there's also the chance that maybe it doesn't hit in 6.3. So we'll see about that one. You can cast glamours or dye retainer equipment without removing it. You can cast glamours on your own equipment directly from the retainer's inventory. And there's also a filter for newly added items at a Sundry Splendors vendor. Now, those are all pretty good updates. However, they said there's one more retainer inventory update that he didn't just want to put into text. He wanted to actually showcase it in the next live letter. But the only comment Yoshi P had for that is, I think people who have lots of materials stored will be really happy about this one. That screams to me a separate inventory for materials or something of that manner. It could be a search feature. It could be something that's not as major. But the thing that would make people the happiest who store materials in their retainers is a separate material bag or the ability to craft using retainer bags. One of those two things I would say are like the big things. But I'm not confident that they have the retainer set up to do that just yet. It's actually a pretty big technological advancement for the way the game is built to be able to cast glamours through the retainers, because the way they're kind of segmented off from the rest of the game's programming has historically made that not something that was even remotely feasible. But now that they've started to link it better and I guess fix it up, it leaves the door open for a lot more interesting things. It's just a question of, is this going to be simply a search? Here's the thing. A search feature would not be difficult. The big thing is too difficult to put into text and words. A search feature is not too difficult to put into text or words. But then again, neither is a Regent bag or the ability to craft using retainer materials. So maybe it's like a quasi combination of a bunch. I don't know. We'll find out more in the next live letter. And that was it for the live letter, by the way, pretty much. Yoshi P said that there will be a Blue Mage update at some point, but please continue to wait. So no idea when that's going to be. Yeah, and then it was just QVC. They're doing the Tactics Ogre Reborn screenshot sweepstakes. They're doing this lo-fi album. They revealed that again. The new line stickers, where the grapes are my absolute favorite. There are so many more line stickers than this. Line is a messaging app in Eastern Asia, mostly Japan, but it is used in a few other countries as well. So in case you don't know what Line is, that's what it is. It's just a messaging app like WhatsApp or I think it's called Kakao in Korea or something like that. But yeah, it's just one of those just for Japan. They also talked about adding more tickets to the orchestra concert in Japan, additional lottery ticket sales. If you're in Japan, I mean, they spoke about this in great detail, but it doesn't affect most of us. And then, yeah, that was it. That was it for the live letter. They just reminded people that the 10-year anniversary of Rome Reborn is coming next year, and they have a lot planned. But yeah, that's all there is. Let me see the missing slide from housing. Yeah, here's just the slide that was missing from housing earlier. Either way, very compact live letter. Wish we had gotten just names of a few more things. I don't think they need to hide the ultimate at this point, especially when we know it's coming. But that means it'll be at the end of the patch trailer in the Part 2 live letter. In case you're wondering, the Part 2 live letter, I think it's going to be December 23rd, if I had to wager a guess. I think the patch is going to be January 10th. And normally they do live letters 11 days before a patch. But because of the holiday season, I think they'll do it a couple days before Christmas. And then it'll just be like a little earlier relative to the patch release than it usually is. So either way, I'll keep an eye on that. We'll cover that as we did. But other than that, that is it for live letter number 74. So thank you for watching this quick recap / overview, whether you're watching on Twitch or YouTube. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. And now I need to finish the post game for Harvestella so I can get on to Tactics Ogre before Pokemon comes out. I'm drowning in RPGs. What do you know? Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care.